What's up? Welcome to Mornings in the Word. I'm Pastor Courage Molina, Bold Faith Community Church. So excited to have you. We are reading through the chronological Bible reading plan. And so today is day 187. I'm going to be reading 2 Kings chapter 14 and 2 Chronicles chapter 25. Okay, let's get into it. Oh, we got a new king. These new kings, I just don't know if they're gonna be good or not. Because every time we read them, these kings is a mess. So let's see. Amaziah, son of Joash, began to rule over Judah in the second year of the reign of King Joash of Israel. Amaziah was 25 years old when he became king, and he reigned in Jerusalem 29 years. His mother was Jehoadin, from Jerusalem. And Messiah did what was pleasing in the Lord's sight, but not like his ancestor David. Instead, he followed the examples of his father Joash. Amaziah did not destroy the pagan shrines, and the people still offered sacrifices and burnt incense there. When Amaziah was well established as king, he executed the officials who assassinated his father. However, he did not kill the children of the assassins, for he obeyed the command of the Lord as written by Moses in the book of law. Parents must not be put to death for the sins of their children, nor children for the sins of their parents. Those deserving to die must be put to death for their own crimes. Amaziah also killed 10,000 Edomites in the Valley of Salt. He also conquered Selah and changed its name to Joktheel, as it is called to this day. One day, Amaziah sent messengers with this challenge to Israel's king, Joash, the son of Jehoahaz and grandson of Jehu. Come and meet me in battle. But King Joash of Israel replied to King Amaziah of Judah with this story. Out in the Lebanon mountains. Wait a second. First of all, this is shade. Okay, so one king tells the other king, come out and meet me in battle. And so the king that he basically issues this, like, hey, come and see me, like, what's up, replies and says, out in the Lebanon mountains, a thistle, which is a very small thing, sent a message to a mitre cedar tree. Give your daughter in marriage to my son. But just then, a wild animal of Lebanon came by and stepped on the thistle, crushing it. You have indeed defeated Edom, and you are proud of it. But be content with your victory and stay at home. Why stir up trouble that will only bring disaster on you and the people of Judah? If this king is not saying, sit down, be humble, do you see that? It's a clapback right there. He was like, oh, let me tell you a story, okay? You want me to fight you? Let me tell you a story. It was this thistle. It was like a splinter. There was a splinter that told this big old tree, oh, let me get your daughter. As soon as he said that, a wild boar came and crushed that splinter like it wasn't nothing. So why are you starting trouble? Now, I know you just fought these other people, and so you feel real good about yourself. But why are you coming over here ringing this bell? Why are you coming over here knocking the door? Now, who's going to win, though? So juicy. Verse 11, but Amaziah refused to listen. So King Joash of Israel mobilized his army against King Amaziah of Judah. The two armies drew up their battle lines at Beth Shemesh in Judah. Judah was routed by the army of Israel, and its army scattered and fled for home. King Joash of Israel captured Judah's king, Amaziah, son of Joash and grandson of Ahaziah, at Beth Shemesh. Then he marched to Jerusalem, where he demolished 600 feet of Jerusalem's wall, from the Ephraim gate to the corner gate. He carried off all the gold and silver and all the articles from the temple of the Lord. He also seized the treasures from the royal palace, along with hostages, and then returned to Samaria. Wait. I don't know what happened. Hold on, because these names are so confusing. So, okay, let me make sure. So one day, Amaziah sent messengers with this challenge to Israel's king. Okay, so he became, so Judah is the one who wanted to fight Israel. And then Israel was talking tough. And then Judah didn't listen. And so Israel sent their people and they drew up. And so then Israel beat Judah. So he picked a fight that he could not win. Then he marched. Let me go back to verse 13. King Joash of Israel captured Judah's king, Amaziah, son of Joash and grandson of Ahaziah of Beth Shemesh. Then he marched to Jerusalem, where he demolished 600 feet of Jerusalem's wall from the Ephraim gate to the corner gate. He carried off all the gold and silver and all the articles from the temple of the Lord. He also seized the treasures from the royal palace along with the hostages and then returned to Samaria. The rest of the events in Joash's reign and everything he did included the extent of his power and his war with King Amaziah of Judah are recorded in the book of the history of the kings of Israel. When Joash died, he was buried in Samaria with the kings of Israel, and his son Jeroboam II became the next king. King Amaziah of Judah lived for 15 years after the death of King Joash of Israel. Wait. I'm so confused. I need a pen, y'all. I need a pen because now I'm like, wait, so who won? Oh, not that pen. I have Bible safe pens here. So, okay, so this is Israel. So, but King Joash of Israel replied to King Amaziah of Judah with this story. Israel claps back. Yes, I'm putting claps back in my Bible. Don't judge me. All right. So Judah starts the fight. Judah wants to fight. Okay. Judah wants to fight. Israel claps back, which is then animal, if indeed defeated. Okay. But an Amaziah, who is Judah, y'all with me? Refused to listen. Israel mobilized his army against King Amaziah. The two armies drew up the battle lines. Judah, who started it, was routed by stuff I don't know. I don't know what routed means. Judah was routed by the army of Israel, and its army scattered and fled for home. King Joash of Israel, the one who clapped back, captured Judah's king. So Israel clapped back and got the king. Amaziah, who was of Judah, right? Okay, yeah. Yeah, so Israel, let me write this down, wins over Judah. So I was right. So Judah wants to fight. Israel claps back. Judah don't listen. They get into a fight. And then Israel captures Judah's king. Then Israel, and I know that's not who, I'm just saying the tribe, right? Like the nation or whatever, because these names are too much for my brain to comprehend. Okay. Lived for 15 years after the death of King Amaziah of Judah. This is what confuses me right here. King Amaziah of Judah lived for 15 years. Oh, because he didn't kill him. He captured him. Oh. Did include his war with King Amaziah. Okay. When Joash died, and he's Israel, he was buried in Samaria with the kings of Israel, and his son Jeroboam the second became the next king. King Amaziah of Judah lived for 15 years after the death of King Joash of Israel. Okay, that's what messed me up. I'm like, oh, maybe I got it wrong. Do y'all get this? Let me go back. It's been very confusing. So Amazon, I'm just going to call them Judah and Israel because these names are too much right now. You're reading this along with me. It's in 2 Kings 14. You can see what they are. You can see these names for yourself, okay? But Judah fights the Edomites and he wins. And so now he's feeling himself. And so then Judah sends a message to Israel that said, come fight me, bro. Get at me. And then Israel claps back and was like, boy, you better sit down somewhere. Just because you defeated them and you feeling good about yourself, you better stay home and enjoy your victory. Because if you come over here, it's going to be a problem. Okay? But then Judah didn't listen. And so he pulled up anyway. And then Israel won. But he did not kill the king. That's the part that messed me up because I thought he killed the king, but he did not kill the king. And that is why when he died, when Israel died, even though Israel won, Judah was still living because he did not kill the king of Judah. He captured him. It's very, very interesting. Okay, verse 18. I hope that makes sense. Is that clear? Let me know in the chat if it's clear. Because all these names, they got to give you the name and who they some kin to. So it's my name, my daddy name, and my granddaddy name, and the city I'm from. That is too much. But historical accuracy is important. And this is for people who would have known who they were, right? This is for people who want to know the history. And these names are not that difficult for them because this is their language. It's not like me struggling through these names and I don't know these people like that. So I understand it's important, but it just makes it very confusing for me. Okay. So it's fine for you to slow down. Don't just push through. If you're reading something, just like I did on this live reading, right? And I'm not going to be editing stuff out for what? If you are reading this and you are confused, you're reading something and you're confused or it doesn't make sense, do not just keep reading. Stop, go back, reread, stop, Google, look it up somewhere. Like, hopefully your Bible reading will be easy and you'll just be able to get through and like read through it. And that's great. That's why we're reading it in the New Living Translation because it's just got very high readability. Right, it's easier to read than King James, and we trying to read and understand. But even with this, it still got confusing, and I'm like, wait, so who won? Wait, so what happened? Don't just be like, oh, I don't know what that means, and just keep going. No, stop what you're doing. Go back. Maybe you need to reread it. Maybe you need to write some notes. I just wrote some notes so I could like keep it straight. It's not for the whole world. It doesn't have to make sense to everyone. It doesn't have to look a certain way that's so like professional or whatever. It just needs to look a way that's going to help me to understand it when I come back to it. The same is true for you. You just need to have some notes in there so it makes sense when you come back to it. All right. Okay. Verse 19. There was a conspiracy against Amaziah's life in Jerusalem. Amaziah was the king of Judah, and he fled to Lachish, but his enemies sent assassins after him, and they killed him there. They brought his body back to Jerusalem on a horse, and he was buried with his ancestors in the city of David. All the people of Judah had crowned Amaziah's 16-year-old son, Uzziah, as king in place of his father, Amaziah. After his father's death, Uzziah rebuilt the town of Elath and restored it to Judah. Jeroboam II, the son of Joash, began to rule over Israel in the 15th year of King Amaziah's reign in Judah. He reigned in Samaria 41 years. He did what was evil in the Lord's sight. He refused to turn from the sins that Jeroboam, son of Nebat, had led Israel to commit. Jeroboam II recovered the territories of Israel between Lebo-Hamath and the Dead Sea, just as the Lord, the God of Israel, had promised through Jonah, son of Amittai, the prophet from Gath-hepher. For the Lord saw the bitter suffering of everyone in Israel, and that there was no one in Israel, slave or free, to help them. And because the Lord had not said he would blot out the name of Israel completely, he used Jeroboam II, the son of Joash, to save them. He used somebody who was doing evil to save them. Still, he did evil in the eyes of the Lord. Isn't that what we just read? Yeah, Jeroboam II, the son of Joash, began to rule. He reigned. Yeah, it says right there. Verse 24, he did what was evil in the Lord's sight. And go down to verse 27, and because the Lord had not said he would blot out the name of Israel completely, he used Jeroboam II, the one who did evil in the Lord's sight, the son of Joash, to save them. Still used him to save Jerusalem. The rest of the events in the reign of Jeroboam II and everything he did, including the extent of his power, his wars, and how he recovered from Israel, both Damascus and Hamath, which had belonged to Judah, and recorded in the book of the history of the kings of Israel. When Jeroboam II died, he was buried in Samaria with the kings of Israel. Then his son Zechariah became the next king. First of all, we got a bunch of kings. We got kings in Israel, kings in Judah, for a nation that used to just be one nation. And every time I turn around, somebody's getting murdered. All right, now we're going to go over to 2 Chronicles chapter 25. It's just bananas. It's a lot going on. Amaziah rules in Judah. Amaziah was 25 years old when he became king, and he reigned in Jerusalem 29 years. His mother was Jehoiadan from Jerusalem. Amaziah did what was pleasing in the Lord's sight, but not wholeheartedly. When Amaziah was well established as king, he executed the officials who had assassinated his father. However, he did not kill the children of the assassins, for he obeyed the command of the Lord, as written by Moses in the book of the law. Parents must not be put to death for the sins of their children, nor children for the sins of their parents. Those deserving to die must be put to death for their own crimes. Then Amaziah organized the army, assigned generals and captains for all Judah and Benjamin. He took a census and found that he had an army of 300,000 select troops, 20 years old and older, all trained in the use of spear and shield. He also paid about 7,500 pounds of silver to hire 100,000 experienced fighting men from Israel. But a man of God came to him and said, "Your Majesty, do not hire troops from Israel, for the Lord is not with Israel. He will not help those people of Ephraim. If you let them go with your troops into battle, you will be defeated by the enemy no matter how well you fight. God will overthrow you, for he has the power to help you or to trip you up." Amaziah asked the man of God, "But what about all that silver I paid to hire the army of Israel?" The man of God replied, "The Lord is able to give you much more than this." So Amaziah discharged the hired troops and sent them back to Ephraim. This made them very angry with Judah, and they returned home in a great rage. First of all, they got paid, or somebody got paid for them. Is that what happened? To hire experienced fighting men. I mean, I don't know if they paid them directly, but somebody got paid $100,000 for them to for him to hire. No, wait. He paid 7,500 pounds of silver to hire 100,000 experienced fighting men from Israel. Somebody got paid that money, so I don't know if it got paid directly to them. That's something I would probably study, or if it got paid to somebody else. But this is a great lesson in what happens when we move even on something that's seemingly smart or seemingly small and strategic, right? So he needed people to fight. Israel, they're the same people, even though they have two different nations, they're the same. They worship the same God, essentially, right? And so I'm just going to hire them. It seems smart. It doesn't seem like a risk. It seems strategic. He hires them. 100,000 come. And now the Lord is like, no, you better not use them, because you're going to lose if you use them. Maybe he would have known that if he had asked before, just why it's so good for us to be praying and seeking God before we get into making decisions, even our day-to-day decisions. And then he had to take that L. Like, okay, but I gave him that money. Can I get my money back? Or what we about to do about that? Oh no, that's the L right there. That's the L for lesson. That's the L. You paid 7,500 pounds of silver so you can learn that you need to check with the Lord before you start swiping your card. That's for somebody who need to get on their budget. Oh, I'm somebody. That's probably for me. Just as a reminder, as encourager, because I'm on my budget, but it's probably a reminder for me to make sure I stay on it. All right. Verse 7. But a man of God, we did the overthrow you. It made them angry. Okay, verse 11. Then Amaziah summoned his courage and led his army to the valley of Salt, where they killed 10,000 Edomite troops from Seir. They captured another 10,000 and took them to the top of a cliff and threw them off, dashing them to pieces on the rocks below. Oh, this is something that's very confusing to me. We'll come back. Meanwhile, the hired troops that Amaziah had sent home raided several towns of Judah between Samaria and Beth Horon. They killed 3,000 people and carried off great quantities of plunder. Okay, so on their way home, they was sent home. I don't need y'all. They was mad and they was all souped up and ready to fight. So then they raided several of the homes, several of the towns of Judah, between Samaria and Beth Horon. They killed 3,000 people and carried off great quantities of plunder. When King Amaziah returned from slaughtering the Edomites, he brought with him idols taken from the people of Seir. He set them up as his own gods. What? Bowed down in front of them and offered sacrifices to them. This made the Lord very angry, and he sent a prophet to ask, why do you turn to gods who could not even save their own people from you? But the king interrupted him and said, since when have I made you the king's counselors? Be quiet now before I have you killed. So the prophet stopped with this warning. I know that God has determined to destroy you because you have done this and have refused to accept my counsel. After consulting with his advisors, King Amaziah of Judah sent this challenge. This makes sense, okay, to Israel's king Joash, the son of Jehoahaz, and grandson of Jehu, come and meet me in battle. But King Jehoash of Israel replied to King Amaziah of Judah with this story. Out in the Lebanon mountains, a thistle sent a message to a mighty cedar tree. Give your daughter in marriage to my son. But just then a wild animal of Lebanon came by and stepped on the thistle, crushing it. You are saying I have defeated Edom, and you are very proud of this. But my advice is to stay at home. Why stir up trouble that will only bring disaster on you and the people of Judah? But Amaziah refused to listen, for God was determined to destroy him for turning to the gods of Edom. So King Joash of Israel mobilized his armies against King Amaziah of Judah. The two armies drew up their battle lines at Beth Shemesh in Judah. Judah was routed by the army of Israel, and its army scattered and fled for home. King Joash of Israel captured Judah's king Amaziah, son of Joash and grandson of Ahaziah, at Beth Shemesh. Then he brought him to Jerusalem, where he demolished 6,000 feet of Jerusalem's wall from the Ephraim gate to the corner gate. He carried off all the gold and silver and all the articles from the temple of God that had been in the care of Obed-Edom. He also seized the treasures of the royal palace along with hostages and then returned to Samaria. King Amaziah of Judah lived for 15 years after the death of King Joash of Israel. The rest of the events in Amaziah's reign from beginning to end are recorded in the book of the kings of Judah and Israel. After Amaziah turned away from the Lord, there was a conspiracy against his life in Jerusalem, and he fled to Lachish. But his enemies sent assassins after him, and they killed him there. They brought his body back on a horse, and he was buried with his ancestors in the city of David. Oh my goodness. First of all. Okay. So when we just read 2 Kings chapter 14, and we was going back and forth, right? So the king of Judah beat the Edomites. Then he was feeling himself. And so then he went to he wanted to fight the Israelites, fight Israel. And the Israel king was like, "Nuck if you buck." And then he went over there and he lost. And now I'm reading this, how the king of Judah, right? Because this is at the same time, this is the chronological Bible reading plan. It is the chronicle of the fight that we just read in 2 Kings, right? And so we get a little bit more background here. This is why Bible reading is like so important. All right, this is why Bible reading is so important. Okay. So I'm trying to figure out, as we're reading this in chapter 25, the king of Judah, it has fought the Edomites or whatever. And now he hasn't fought the Edomites. The king of Judah wants to fight somebody. And so he's got these people. And so he pays to get people from Israel. And then the Lord says, I'm not with Israel. Send those men back. And so he sends those men back. And when he sends those men back, those men from Israel, they fight, they plunder homes in Judah on their way back. And so now I'm trying to figure out, well, if the Lord said he wasn't with Israel, and these people that he sent back to Israel are over here tearing up stuff and killing people, then why did the Lord allow them to win when Judah fought Israel? But this fills in the blanks, because after all that happened, he went in and got all of these things, and then he made sacrifices. After the Lord just gave you this win, he went in and made sacrifices to another God. These folks is crazy. Now, I know the Lord be telling me not to be so judgy when I'm studying this Bible, because there is nothing new under the sun. And so while I'm looking at these people like, oh my gosh, they're crazy, I immediately have to start reflecting, okay, where have I made an idol of something? And I know we may not be bowing down to things, but where have I allowed something else to take the priority in my life? Where have I given more value or more weight to relationships, to purpose, to assignments and tasks over what God has called me to do in this season? So God is telling you to do something, and instead you've decided that something is more important. Maybe that's a stretch to say it's an idol, but it's certainly over prioritizing. And so when I just sit here with you right now reflecting, anytime I get super judgy in the Bible, and I be getting super judgy in the Old Testament, like mad judgy. Like I'm right now like, what is wrong with this boy? Whenever I get super judgy, I stop and I'm like, okay, Lord, reveal to me, how I am similar to this, how I'm also foolish, and why somebody might be looking at my story saying, what is wrong with this girl? What is wrong with her? So I do that. And that's what just came up for me. When is God telling, God wants to be the center and the king and the Lord of our lives? Where have I made other things the Lord? Where have I allowed things to dictate for me to do something good, better, and different that was outside of what God was telling me to do at the time? That's the kind of reflection I'm talking about. Listen, I pray that this has blessed you. If this right here got you excited, like, man, I used to think the Bible was boring, but this might be all right. This might be a little bit interesting, then go ahead and subscribe so that you can find us, so you'll be notified when we drop new videos, and you can be live with us in the chat. If this is your community, you know that we're more than a channel, we're a community, and I want you to start inviting people. One of the easiest ways to invite people is to share the video and say, hey, I'm going through the chronological Bible reading plan. It's okay that we're on day 187. You can just jump right in with us. It's going to be good. Even if we go from day 187 to 365, it's going to be a blessing, especially if you never read through the entire Bible. We are probably going to cover books and areas of the word that, unless you've read through the entire Bible, you might have missed, right? So this is still a great place to jump in. I'd love for you to, join in this Bible reading with me. And if you like this Bible reading, then like this video. Okay, if you like this Bible reading, then like this video and let us know that you liked it that way. And we'll also be telling YouTube that you like it, so YouTube can start suggesting us to other amazing people who are looking for an opportunity and a way to fall in love with the word and build their faith through studying the word of God. All right. As always, thank you for joining us Monday through Friday, 7 a.m. for mornings in the word, and Saturday morning at 8 a.m. for church. I love y'all, and I will see y'all.